G'day YouTube, my name's Lance. Welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report. Well, look, we had a bit of a front came through from the southwest, and yeah, look, it brought a couple of showers early in the weekend, yet last night, it was one of those things where it sort of started clearing north New South Wales and sort of clearing up on a 45 going towards the northeast. And yeah, we thought we were going to miss out. Down south, they've had a lot of rain. Yeah, a lot of flooding and things like that. Just storm flooding, up and down quickly. But yeah, yesterday it was a bit of an overcast day, and I got a bit done up here, buggering around. But it was just a showery day, and even on Friday when I was fixing the young fella's car, yeah, I was out there in the rain getting bloody wet. But we ended up with 47 millimetres of rain overnight in the heavy rain that came through, and look, that was needed. I was just over the orchard yesterday doing a bit of spraying, spraying a bit of Roundup around the just the mowing area sort of thing, and yeah, I noticed some of the trees looked a bit stressed from not enough water. So it's something I hadn't been looking at really. I've let the orchard slide a little bit because I thought, oh well, storm season come up, but I probably should have put some water on the big avo tree. It got a bit last week or the week before, and it's shot out a bit better. So anyway, not to worry, but it's going to be, they're predicting 34 degrees C today. Now, pardon me, after that rain that we've just had, look, that'll be bloody humid. It'll be a hot stinker. If the sun comes out later, the shed will be snap, crackling, and popping. And yeah, look, it'll be a hot, steamy day. So anyway, not to worry. I do have a bit of editing to do. The injection pump on the John Deere, I've got to finish editing that. Currently, you have all the ones that I've edited, so I need to spend a few hours up in the office and doing that. And if it's a hot, humid day, well, bloody nice place to be. Pop the aircon on and sit there editing away, looking busy, and go from there. I've also got a quick little video on popping the Welsh plugs in the back of the head on the 23C, and another little short video, probably a couple of minutes worth, on putting the tubes back in the head on the 23C. So there's a couple of little bits coming up. I've got the final drive here off the 65. No, you can't see. Oh, you might be able to just see it. Where I got the diff lock shaft out last week. Now, I didn't film much of that. I'll film putting it together, but it took that long with heating and, well, actually I didn't get to heat. Heat was going to be my last hurrah with this, but it was very, very stuck in there, and the spring and the circlip, undoing the circlip around this area here, it was that rusty. I went to open the circlip and it just broke in half. And I ended up getting probably a 1/4 inch, I suppose that looks like, pin punch, and putting it in and working it back and forth with a shifter on the pin punch, just working it back and forth. And I used CRC Penetrate, and CRC sponsored the channel. I got another order of CRC in last week. I'm still waiting on rust converter. They didn't give me any rust converter in this order, but I had ordered it. And so it'll be coming, no doubt. But yeah, I got this out. I've got the final drive over there ready to put on, but I just want to pop the new final drive apart and put a new seal in it just for good measure. It's not leaking, but I'm going to do that anyway. And pardon me, if I can get some time up here, that would be bloody handy. But look, it was just a busy week last week. Well, it's sort of hard to say what I got up to, really. I did spend a day editing videos. That's how come you had a lot of the little fuel injection pump ones. It was most of a day by the time I did the stew, then did editing and all that. It used up quite a bit of the day. Then Wednesday, I was giving my ute a wash, and I noticed the paint's just, look, it was just starting to get a bit chalky. Now, with my Land Cruiser, I picked it up just on almost 5 years ago, and it had a ceramic coating on it, and the company that put the ceramic coating on said, look, don't wash it with soapy water or truck wash or anything like that. Just pressure clean it or just use normal water. You know, it'll seal it up and everything should come off easy. Well, after 5 years, I noticed that that wasn't quite the case, and so I chose to give it a polish. I've still got to polish the left and right hand doors. I just couldn't get to them where it was sitting in the shed, and then the day was sort of over. I had to go and do stuff, and I didn't get them finished. So this week I'll be bringing the ute up and just finishing the doors off. But look, that's not a big job really. It's just getting a place to do it, and I'll probably do it out in the shade, out in the shed, out the end of the shed where we wash the cars. But you only have shade there of an afternoon, so. But yeah, look, the ute's looking nice. It's a nice shiny. I didn't cut it back. I just put polish on and spread that out. So the bonnet and the roof was crappy. But yeah, and when you rubbed hard with the washing it, you know, you'd get just a touch of white powdery oxidisation. So certainly time for a polish. I thought that ceramic might have lasted a bit longer, but yeah, not to worry. I could probably get it all tidied up and done again. It has been good, but up to now, like it sits out the front of the shed because I use it for Starlink a lot, and yeah, look, it's been in the sun most days in that 5 years. Yeah, but it's just how it sort of worked at our place here. So anyway, so I've got that done. That's looking good. Yeah, I've got all the windows cleaned up and vacuumed out and all that. We're heading to Pittsworth this weekend. Yeah, the ACRA, which was a Australian Restorers and Collectors Association in Queensland. Down south you have the NHMA. Years ago, NHMA sort of didn't want to know about Queensland really much, and so before my time in it, they formed this ACRA, and ACRA looks after insurance for the Queensland clubs that want to be in it. There's still NHMA clubs, but back in the day, yeah, because it was a Victorian-based thing, the NHMA back in the time, well, yeah, things didn't work both ways, and they're just a mob of pricks to deal with. So, but look, now it's fine. Like the NHMA seems to have a new lease of life in it. The good old boy club's not there, and look, it's a good thing now. And if back then they were like they are now, there wouldn't be any need for what the Queensland people, you know, what we did up here in Queensland. But anyway, Craig Cooper, he's the president of ACRA, and we're having a meeting in Pittsworth. So, yeah, it's a meet and greet for the southern zone. Bundaberg, Kangaroo, Billawheeler and all that. We're in the central zone of Queensland, so there's a southern, central and northern. And, yeah, my mate Davey Recco, he's an area, like an area coordinator, a zone representative for the central zone here in the middle of Queensland. So, yeah, so we got the AGM out at Pittsworth this weekend, so it's a meet and greet for anyone that wants to come along and have a chat and say good day to whoever's in ACRA at the time, elect new office bearers and all that sort of thing. It's that time of year when all the AGMs are coming up. And so, yeah, we're heading away to that, and then we're stopping in at Anthony Lampard's near Gatton there, and I've been telling people if they have any parts to come to Bundaberg, ring Anthony, pay Anthony, and I'll pick the parts up and bring them up north for you. So, so that's what's arranged for Sunday. And I might have to stop in and see Ron King, see Kingy. He's got some parts for me there as well. So, yeah, it'd be a good thing. Good weekend away. So we're heading off on the Friday, and we were coming home Sunday, but now we're thinking, you know, by the time we pick up parts half the day and talk to Anthony and bloody bug around, we might not come home. We might leave it the next day. Find a nice place to stay. But look, I suppose that'll depend on the weather and how tired we are and all that sort of thing. So we'll just see what happens there. Nothing's urgent. But it'll be a good weekend away. But yeah, it was last week with doing the editing and buggering around like that, and my office is finished off nicely now. I got Judy to buy me a clock for the wall, which I think I showed you that last week probably, And but look, the office is just about done. There's a bit of artwork I want to put up in the corner there. I found, I've got a calendar. I found a place for a calendar, and I've got the life membership certificate for the Rum City Vintage Machinery Club. It's up there, and there's still a few little gaps where I can put some nice tin signs, so I might do that over time. And but yeah, by all accounts, it's ready to rock and roll. One thing, I must have had a bit of a brain fart. On the bench on the one side there, where I showed you the bench top with that honeycomb in it, you know, that's a rougher finish, and it's got like a honeycomb pattern on it. It's quite nice. It's an anti-slip thing. Well, on that same sheet, I put that sheet down the other side, just popped her up there and put the toolbox on and put the, you know, cutting mats and all that on and a little vise. Well, I was just looking at it the other day and I thought, well, that's got a different pattern on it. And I hadn't realised that it's got like a little pyramid pattern on one side and the honeycomb on the other. And of course, I've got it set up with the wrong bloody one. So anyway, I'm thinking of sliding the toolbox up the other end of the bench if I can and turning it over just so I can look at it. And I do have to paint the front. Yeah, where the grey is from the end of the ply on that one section, I've got to paint that yet. So, but yeah, look, that's nothing really. A bit of a tidy up. But yeah, look, it's a nice place to be on a hot day, editing and putting a bit more stuff on the website. I was going to, I was going to try and remember to do a list of what I've put on the website each week, and sometimes it's nothing, but other times it's just 2 or 3 service bulletins, and I've put a few David Brown ones up recently. But yeah, look, hop in and have a look. The other interesting thing was not the stew before this one, the one before, where people put all the channels that they watch, on a regular basis that they like to watch. Go and read the comments on that one. There's things, there's A-Bomb 79. I don't watch A-Bomb a lot now. I did one time, but I don't now. But there's Matty's Workshop. He's a little Aussie battler workshop down south. Just a good bloke. He's bloody handy. Swan Valley Machine Shop, Max Grant, Aussie fella again. There's a few tractor ones in there. It's just interesting to look at. Put on your playlist. So, subscribe so they come up and you can watch what they do. But look, interesting stuff. My channels are Squatch 253 and Minneapolis fella and Tom, I think it is. But anyway, I can't think of them all while I'm sitting here. But have a look at that. Go and have a look at these other channels. And once again, if you've got channels that spin your wheels, pop them in the description here or in the comment here, and we'll all go and have a look. So, so yesterday in the shed here, I had one bit of a day where I got to work on this planetary. I still want to set the tailstock on the lathe. Didn't have time for that. By the time I polished my ute on Wednesday, gave it a wash and look, it was a bloody mess, I tell you. I got all that organised, and then pardon me, on Thursday I went up to the club shed. Now, we've been waiting for a company to put a mezzanine area in. Like the mezzanine is just around the wall in a few sections, about 6 foot wide, so we can put engines or things up the top there and have a display up the top and a display down the bottom. Just use the area better. But the people that put the shed up originally, we contracted them to put that up. And look, they were going to do it in September, and we had a date, 15th of September they were doing it, and we thought, oh, beauty. So anyway, I went up there the other day, and my mate Rob up there, they'd been there on the Wednesday, and he didn't tell us, and we come in on the Thursday, and it was done. So it was a pleasant surprise. He got a giggle out of it. And so that's done. So that was good. So I'd gone up to the shed, Judy and myself, and we met Alan and Diane. Alan and Di have a few health issues, and they had a day where they didn't have blood tests and things like that. So they said, we're going up the shed. So we said, oh, we'll come too, just to, these other jobs I wanted to do, like hanging the defib and the first aid kit and putting the signs up. And I do have to get a couple of bits of ply. We've got new fire extinguishers there, and they come with a bracket, but if you just hang them on the bracket, they don't sit level, they just sit back onto the tin. So I'm probably going to cut a couple of bits of timber, and just so when we put the fire extinguisher on, they sit nice and straight. And we haven't got any fire extinguisher signs. I think I might have a couple from here that I found in the, some of my club stuff I got tucked away. I still have one, I believe. So I'll try for that. I think originally we got them for in the rally grounds, to set where the fire extinguishers are, but I'll put it there and see how we go. Yeah, it should be good. But yeah, then we started assembling the ladder. There's a ladder, and so if we want to get up on the top mezzanine at the club shed there, we can go up safely, hop onto a platform, then step up. On the club step, we picked it up, but you can see it had a couple of big dings in the end of it, and when I pulled it out to put it together, you can see it's been dropped or something, and we probably should have looked at that when we picked it up, but we didn't. It's no big deal. Yeah, one of the pieces is bent down the bottom in the crosshatch pattern thing. So I'll take a big shifter up and we'll try and straighten that out. But it's a good thing, like you can press a foot pedal and it hops up onto the wheels, and you can wheel it to the next section, and then when you step onto it, it just goes bang and goes straight down and locks itself in. But so I've got all that assembled up there ready to go. I'll probably pop up, well, if I get time, I'll pop up there this week sometime. We'll finish bolting it together, but there was a bolt missing and a few things like that. And where we go up the step onto the platform, I'm going to actually put a couple of eye bolts there, I believe, and put a little chain there. So when you step onto the platform, where your handrail is there, you can't sort of step over the top without doing an actual movement of shifting the chain. So I'm thinking of doing that. It's not standard, but I think talking to the workplace health and safety people, if they've told me that if you notice something can be a bit safer or all that, you are allowed to do that. You're not allowed to make it unsafe, but it's like a grinder. If you have a grinder with no front cover on it, and you notice that, well, you can make one. You don't have to have a bought one. It doesn't have to be a special thing. You can improve that if you think it's going to make it safer. So anyway, so we got up there, got that ladder assembled, got the stuff moved around. Some of the stuff that was like a big cane trolley and all that, we've got that moved into a final position. There's a table up there, like an old kitchen table. We've moved that up the corner. We've shifted the fridges into a corner so we can leave a little tiny one on. That was my dad's. I donated it to the club, and after he passed on. But yeah, we've got a tall fridge down the bottom. Tall as in 4 foot high, then it's a little one on the top. So we've put them in the corner. We've put the kitchen table there. Alan and Diane, they go up there more than I do. They bought like a jug, a sandwich toaster, some cups and plates and cutlery and things like that. They've bought all that and a plastic box to put it in, which they're donating to the club. They don't want the money back. It's just to make it more pleasant. Jude and I noticed that we need things like toilet brushes in the shed and in the toilets and things like that. And the toilet's not officially ours, like it's a group thing, but Jude and I are going to just go and buy dunny brushes and hand cleaner and things like that just to put in there. With the new lease, we were going to have the toilet in our section, but we weren't allowed to do that. We've had to pull the lease line back behind the toilets. So our lease goes out to the back of the toilets, but the lease is in the common area, so we can't, so because we're paying lease, we can't lock the toilets up so no one else coming in can use it, sort of thing. It's a common area for public use when the museum's open. So look, that makes sense. So, but we're still going to tidy that up. Jude and I are going to pop some bits and pieces in there. I'm going to put a couple of rib nuts in the ladder just for the chains and things like that. Get the fire extinguisher. So I might get up there this week if I can. These aren't working bees we're going to. It's just if I'm talking to Rob's been a mate of mine for many, many years. Nicole that worked for us, that's her dad. And it's just little jobs. You don't need a working bee of 20 people standing around doing nothing. So I took the carry-all up that Kempy's made for winding the wire, and a few of the old signs from our rally, they're all up there in the container, in the shipping container. So we'll probably try and get up there this week one day. And look, if we don't get up there this week, it'll be the week after just to finish things off. But yeah, it's looking good. We swept it all out once more. Judy jumped on the Zoom broom and swept it out. So I'm going to start going up there a bit more regular now. We can actually get things in place, because we had our hands tied for so long that we couldn't do anything, because until these fellas come in, we couldn't put stuff in their way. So I have to get up there and get the master built loader going and get that back in under cover. And yeah, Greg Upham, he's offered to build a couple of drip trays for under it, just to keep the floor tidy. But he's touring around Antarctica. So on a cruise down there. So half his luck, I suppose. Then coming back from down there on Thursday, a young fella rings up and he says, "Oh, Dad, where are you?" And I said, "Oh, we're up Mullow Creek." He says, "Oh, the bloody Subaru's got water pissing out everywhere." And Tim and Ali bought a almost new Kluger hybrid, and Ali's little WRX, that's become Tim's car. You know, his run-around car sort of thing. And it hadn't been a good car, that. Like, it blew a diff up down Brisbane one time, so it was $4,000 by the time they got new front diff in it and clutch, and apparently it's something they can do. And then the engine shit itself, that was $12,000. And yeah, just unreal. But anyway, what had happened is the bloody radiator, you have an alloy radiator and a plastic crimped tank. Well, the crimp had gone on the top there. And yeah, Tim was filling it up with water, keeping it full just to get it out here. But they've got two radiator caps. They've actually got a radiator cap at the halfway along the engine on the side there. Looks like a power steering filler probably, but it's another radiator cap there, and that's a high spot. So, but yeah, he was putting water in. He got it out here, but the engine got pretty warm, but it didn't damage it. Seems fine. And yeah, so, "Oh, Dad, can you have a look at that for me?" Yeah, all right. So Friday it was get the radiator out of a Subaru WRX, and those bloody tiny little things, they're about wheelbarrow height, and you got to bend down and get there, and it was showering, just sprinkling rain on Friday. I think we had 3 millimetres, but I couldn't get anything I had under it to catch the coolant, so I did it out the front there, and so I got a wet arse. And you would not believe that, like, the top radiator tank is say 40 millimetres wide. Then it comes down, and the radiator is around 16 to 18 millimetres wide, single core radiator. And these are a little performance car, and, you know, supposed to be bits of hotties. And this pissy little radiator, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, so I still have a Capricorn account and that, trade accounts at Repco and that, so I popped into Repco, and yeah, the cheapest radiator is actually an automatic one with the pipe coming in the bottom and going out for the automatic transmission cooler, and this is a manual. So that was the cheap one, so we bought that and put in it, and I mixed up the coolant and, you know, did the proper mix with the glycol and all that. So it's off and racing. It's back going again, but yeah, that was like a day done. And yeah, and before that, on Friday morning, my mate, Big Bad Laurie, yeah, he loaned me an RTV 900 little Kubota at our rally for getting around to save my legs, and boy, I was really grateful for it. And anyway, they've sold a farm, so he was telling me a couple of weeks ago about you know, the RTV, and a few tractors were going to the auctions, and so I said, "Well, would you like to sell it to me?" So, which they did. They decided to sell it to me. So Friday morning early, I went over and grabbed that. So now I've got a little Kubota RTV 900 here, and pardon me, it's an older model, 2011, but look, it's well cared for, and it's certainly everything I need. I've done a few little jobs, like the little battery carrier was a bit dicky, so I've fixed that. And I found in time, you know, when you got something new and you're wagging your tail and you're bloody a bit excited to play with it, so that's when you should be doing shit. So So yeah, I fixed the battery box up, and the little stop solenoid was just sticky now and then. You had to turn the key, then put your foot on the accelerator, and you hear it clicking, and away you went. So yeah, so I freed all that up. I've got a bit of possum pee up in the rubber and things like that. So that seems to be good now. Jude's had a bit of a run on it. It's got a tipper body on it. And yeah, Jude's had a couple of runs around it just to learn, you know, become comfortable with it. Then Saturday we had the kids here for dinner. So yeah, it was still light around, you know, well, only barely light at dinner time. So yeah, I chucked the kids on, and Airy, she's 12, so she got to have a drive. And then young Arrow, he's 10, he got to have a drive around in it. Oh, he's not 10. Yeah, he's about 9. Yeah, so kids got to have a little drive around it, on it, and yeah, a bit of fun for them. So now we've started that. I said, yeah, now Grandma wants to work in the garden. You fellas will have to jump in, and yeah, you'll be able to drive. So sounds good. So we'll see. We'll see if they want to help or not. I'm going to put a new bit of mat down inside it. The other mat was just buggered, and so I've cleaned the floor. I do want to rust protect it. I've got a bit of well, I'll probably cure it with the rust converter first. But yeah, the other day, late Friday arvo, I laid all under it and around it and pressure cleaned it and lifted the bonnet up at the front, and the bloody macadamia nuts and shit up in there. Those little rats, the bastards, they take them everywhere. But so yeah, I had a good pressure clean, and then there's another little flap there, and I didn't know. I just found it cleaning up, and that's where a winch mount goes. So I said to Jude, I might chuck a winch in there. She said, what do you want a winch for? I said, I don't know, because it's got the bolt holes for it. That'll do. So we'll might put a winch there. I don't know what we're going to use it for, just a bit of fun. It might be all right. The only time I've used the winch on the ute, really, in anger, was to get the forklift out of a bog. It bogs on spit, so yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, it was an interesting week. And then when I was over picking up the Kubota, they showed me a pump that they'd saved from going to the scrapper years ago, but now they sort of had nowhere for it, and they said, you know, all they could think was probably send it to the scrap after saving it. So I said, look, give it to me. I'll bring it home here and I'll have a bit of a look at it. And there used to be a cordial factory in Childers, and H. Philpott owned it, and he called his drinks like Heart. I think it was Heart Cordial or something like that. And his little cordial bottles had a heart on it, and yeah, they're very collectible now. Well, this pump came out of that cordial factory, and what its job was to carbonate the soft drink. So back in the day, you know, everyone knows cordial. You just put a bit in and put it under the tap and do that. But then when the soft drink era came, probably in the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, something like that, yeah, they carbonated it, and they started, these cordial factories became soft drink factories as such. And there's a little tag on it. It's got Eckersley and Sons, Melbourne. And I've been doing a bit of a research on it, looking to see if I could find a photo of one in a cordial factory somewhere. But look, I can't. I can find a ton of Eckersley cordial bottles. They're very collectible. Probably from $20 to $70, $80 for a bottle. I saw one up in the hundreds. I think it was a stone one. And but yeah, that was just an interesting thing, looking for that. But now I've got the pump here. I might just give it a quick tidy up and see. I'd like to find out more about it. I don't know what I'm ever going to do with it, but it might be a good thing just to give it a bit of a tidy up. There's plenty of brass on it that would shine up nicely, little gauges and things like that. But it might be something worth doing up and donating to a museum. You know, perhaps the Childers Museum, seeing that's where the cordial factory was. But anyway, well, that's the story for another day, but I'll show you that shortly. I've got a couple of little microphones here, and they're tiny little fellas, and just jam it up there. I've got one each side, so I'm just testing how it goes with the two tracks. Now, where are we? Boya, B-O-Y-A. They had a sale on a while ago, and I've been looking at microphones, and then I'm looking for microphones that have fair gain here that I can tidy up the sound down there. Yeah, you can still hear the crackling in the shed, but I found on my sound equipment with these Boya microphones, the gain, you can actually dial the gain up and down, and if you dial the gain right up, you hear every little creak and crack and groan anywhere in the sheds. But when you dial the gain down, some of the background noise disappears and you still have the voice okay, because it's the dominant one, and you can just hear the back door rattling now. So these little things come in a dinky little case that you just put a USB-C in there, and there's a central piece, a receiver, that I've got plugged into my Tascam over here. I've got that working, that Tascam, and you have the two microphones, so you can have a conversation with someone, or it comes in on two separate tracks. So that's why I've got the two microphones up here, just so I can just see the balance and all that, playing around with that. So they're quite a bit more compact than the Rode microphones I have been using. The Rode microphones, well, I haven't tried turning one of these off and just bringing it in one track and see if with one microphone it splits it into stereo, or I have to do that. But at the moment, I've got two nice strong signals over there, and that's working well. So what I like about this is they're compact, very small microphones. I chose to get one with the RTS plug, which is the when you look at a little 3.5mm plug that goes into something, it's just got three sections. On phones, on telephones like Samsung phones, you have RTTS, so it's 4 sections. So you have one for sound going in and the other for sound coming out, sort of thing. So, but yeah, just a tiny little compact thing like this for microphones. I can charge that up in the back of the ute when I go away. Always have good microphones there, and I can either plug that thing that's into my Tascam now into the Tascam and have the sound. So currently at the moment there's a sound track being recorded on the camera, which I usually chuck away because it's a good microphone, but it gets the ambience of the room in there. This here will be concentrating on my voice more, so we'll just see. But so if I'm out and about with the big camera, which I don't do a lot, but I can take that out, I can plug it into the Canon camera here and fiddle around with that. I've changed some settings on the Canon camera here to try and slow the autofocus down and things like that. And I think it's a good thing. We'll just see. Now, you might notice as well, I'm doing a few shorts at the moment on the channel. So they also had this little microphone set up, and this little fella here, look how tiny that is. That sits up the bottom of my mobile phone, of my Samsung phone, and with that sitting up the bottom of my phone, they've given us two microphones here, and that's looking quite bright on the screen. The whole thing's quite bright. Look at these tiny little fellas. They're about as big as my thumb. Yeah. And so what I can do with them, I can record 2 tracks with them if I choose, or I can just pop that on my shirt or my hat or wherever I need it. And it doesn't matter if I've got the camera here or around there, the sound will stay the same. You'll find with filming with cameras and things, like when you have it here and you're just going in front of you and here's a bloody wheelbarrow or a tractor wheel, when you go over here sometimes, you go out of your sound changes on it. So they're a little special on. That's turned on at the moment. The light's flashing now, so turn that off. And once again, these can just be charged up. The receiver uses the phone power, and these other little fellas here, yeah, they're chargeable. And I don't know how they've got it worked out, but once you pull them out, they're on. So, but you can turn them off. Yeah, that's turned off now. And these other ones do the same. And they're in the charging dock, and when they're in the charging dock, they're turned off and they're accepting charge. And once more, tiny little box. There's probably something. Yeah, see, turn itself on. So that's turned off. I'll put it in. Pull it out. Yeah, it's on again. I don't know how that bloody thing works. But anyway, yeah, you can, just with your phone charger in the back of the ute, you can charge those up. And look, just for travelling around a bit, I think it's going to be a good thing. So yeah, just trying different things, working with the sound. The camera, the settings I've changed on the camera. I was finding with the camera it was going very dark, and it was just automatic. So I hopped in and I fiddled with a few things, and look, I think I've improved it. So time will tell. It might be totally up to shit, but not to worry. The Tascam that I was having trouble with the cards. Now they have an SD card with a little one inside, you know, your little micro inside, and I'd tried a couple of extra cards that I've had, and it didn't seem to make any difference. And I'd blown in the SD slot and all that on it, and I was reading a thing. Oh, actually, I was on YouTube. Actually, not reading. And they said that the points in those in things like that, and SD cards can get a little bit of tarnish on them. And one bloke had a little rubber and he was cleaning up the contacts. And anyway, I was on Amazon, and there was and the other thing is, if you put a card bigger than a 32 gigabyte in, it won't register with it, which I never realised. But I only had a 32 in it. But it will only accept a 32 gigabyte SD card, and I bought a brand new card, SD card, 32 gigabyte card with fast rate uploads and all that sort of thing off Amazon. Put it in, formatted it. It has not bloody played up since. So, but they're saying that those SD cards, they will tarnish up on you, and the connection mightn't be real good. And I found sometimes if I bang it in and out half a dozen times, well, that way I would get a reasonable, you know, it would connect and away we'd go. But since I've put the new card in, I've been buggering around up here, you know, doing these little filming jobs and things, and look, it seems to work fine. So I think I've fixed the problem there. Yeah, it's given a good signal here. I can see it. Yeah, and these microphones seem to be working quite well. They've got good gain by the look of them, and I've got it turned down. Normally the little dial is say at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in there somewhere to get a reasonable sound. Well, at the moment I've got the gain turned back to about 10 o'clock to reduce ambient noise. So anyway, you'll be able to see the end result when I edit this video shortly. So anyway, look, I'll stop flapping my gums. Today I've got to get back up to the office and do a bit of editing. I'll go and show you the little Kubota. That's my new toy at the moment. I've ordered, over time, you know, things on farms, things get broken, like the number plate light's broken and the tail light on the right-hand side and things like that. So I've ordered a couple of LED lights just for the back there. And look, main reason, so when I get to the rally next year, putting around on this thing, it's just got all the lights it's supposed to have. I'm going to put an amber beacon on the top, just a little short one. I have one here already. I'm going to wire that up. The headlights and that weren't working, but I've got all them going now. That was a fuse problem, but I'm expecting to blow that fuse again. The wires on the right-hand side front pillar for the clearance light, right-hand indicator and clearance light, they were all unplugged, and so I plugged them back in to have a look. But when you're driving along, sometimes they come on. So I believe at the back of where the number plate light is and the stop tail light and all at the back, I reckon they'll be earthing out in there somewhere. Something's touching in the back there, and that's giving a feedback. And it's only when you go over bumps. So I've got new LED lights for the back coming. I've got a flashing light here to put on the top just to make it safe. Not make it safe, but to cover. The front lights, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep them. I might buy LED ones for there, but I'm not going to play with them too much until I get the backlights sorted out and see if my so see if what I think there's going on. But yeah, look, great little Kubota. Laurie was telling me he serviced it every 100 hours, and it's got 2,000 hours on it now, so that's not a lot for a little Kubota. And yeah, it's just a fun thing. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, Jude's out buggering around with it, having a look and that, so that's a good thing. The headlights are a funny thing. They're like a white headlight, and the bulb comes on at the back, and they do put a bit of light out, but I was thinking of just putting a couple of Cree driving lights there, just a bit more light around, or a little light bar up the top or something. Anyway, we'll see. Oh, and the left-hand mirror is broken. It's left-hand drive. Left-hand mirror is broken. And I was looking at forklift mirrors, but anyway, I found some Can-Am mirrors to go on the side, one each side, just so we can see down that side. And I bought one for inside under the roof to look out the back to see what's going on out the back. So, because by the time I find when I turn, I've got the air cleaner sitting up here and this grid, and I just think a couple of mirrors, you know, they're fold-in mirrors, you can fold them out of the way. I'll just put a couple of them on, and that might be it. But anyway, I'm enjoying playing with it at the moment, so we'll just see what happened. Gave it a good pressure clean, cleaned all the radiator out and all that. I will give it a service once the hours tick over, another 20 hours. I think it needs an oil change, so we'll do that. And yeah, but look, I'm grateful to have it. I think it was a good thing. We were looking at one at Format Machinery, but you know, they were ones. They were more modern, but they weren't cared for as well. So anyway, look, I'll stop chatting. I'll take you for a bit of a walk around it all, and yeah, I'll show you what I got. See how we go, eh? Okay, this is this little soft drink carbonator. Now, this thing here, I think that would have been just to decant into the bottles, I believe. But yeah, this little fella here, it's got Eckersley and Sons Melbourne, and it's a little worm drive. Got a little worm drive there that turns this shaft, that in turn turns this pump. And I don't know if, say, coming in here, you had a CO2 bottle or something like that. I don't know, but look, it was interesting, and it was just too good to, you know, you don't like to see things like that go, yeah, just disappear into the scrap. So, but I was looking for a photo of how they worked, where the bottles were hooked up and things like that. And I imagine originally it may, see there's a little cone here which could have been a drive cone, you know, bring something into drive there. I don't know, but look, that's it. It's got some nice brass pumps on it. It's a heavy little thing and things like that, but it might be an interesting thing to get running with a stationary engine. But anyway, I'll just tuck that out of the way for safekeeping for the moment and see if I can come up with any information on it. That's our little Kubota that we bought off Laurie. Yeah, look, it's an older one, but that's fine. I'm certainly happy with that. There's some nice matting and that at Bunnings for in there. We'll sort that out. But yeah, it's a nice little thing. I've fixed all the battery box, made a new bolt for that, and that's all tidy now. Bloody beautiful, really. Yeah, these mirrors, they fold in. See, it was on an orchard, so things are going to get damaged. But I've got these other mirrors that'll clamp on here and just sit out there neatly. So we'll see how we go. The seat's upholstered nicely. Apparently a dog ripped into it. But so yeah, it's coming up 15 years old. It's got a little tow bar on it, things like that. But you can see like the number plate light's buggered, and the light under here is buggered, which might be our electrical gremlins. Hydraulic tilt, you know, the hydraulic tipper on it. yeah, but all in all, I'm very pleased with it. Oh, I am going to pull this bar off at the front here and paint it. You can see, look, it's just got a few scarps on it from life. But yeah, I could tidy that up and give that a nice paint. And I was thinking of putting a couple of little brackets back here, welding a couple of brackets on, and just putting a couple of little Cree work lights. The standard lights are, yeah, I know they seem to work all right, but you know, I'll try and get you around there. Yeah, there's a funny little light. The new ones have a far different light. It's a lot longer. So, but yeah, the air cleaners up the top there, out of harm's way, and yeah, up the top of the roof there, I think I'll just put a little low profile light on there, and I'll probably tidy all this up, as in maybe rust convert it, neutralize it, and go from there. But yeah, all in all, that'll save the knees, and yeah, look, it's just a good thing for our little block here. Yeah, for what we do, and it'll be good for the rally and things like that. So, to give me some legs. So, anyway, we'll see how we go with it. But yeah, I'll just see the weather at the moment's a bit cloudy and overcast. So, I reckon we'll still have a bit more rain today yet. So, we'll just see what happens. But all right, I'll shut up. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Have a good day, and look, we'll catch you all next week, eh? See ya.